I still remember the first time I heard the name Jesse Livermore. It wasn't in a trading book. It wasn't from a Wall Street veteran. It was from a small, dusty corner of an old bookstore, where I picked up a yellowed biography that told the story of a man who made and lost fortunes unlike anyone else in history. And there it was, in one bold sentence. He made $1 million in a single day. For a young trader like me, those words felt almost unreal. $1 million in the early 1902nd. Back when $1 million was the kind of money that could buy entire streets of houses. But this wasn't just about the money. This was about the journey, the discipline, the mindset, and the emotional battles that made Jesse Livermore one of the most fascinating traders who ever lived. That's the story I want to share with you today. Because behind that number $1 million lies a chain of decisions, risks, and inner struggles that every trader, even in today's market, can learn from. Jesse wasn't born into privilege. He wasn't handed a seat on the New York Stock Exchange. He was born in 1877 in Shrewsbury, Massachusetts, the son of a poor farmer. At the age of 14, he left home with just $5 in his pocket and found a job in a Boston brokerage house, not as a trader, but as a quotation board boy. His job? To chalk up stock prices as they came in over the ticker tape. Hour after hour, day after day, he stood in front of that board, watching numbers rise and fall. And something strange began to happen. Patterns emerged. Price movements started to make sense. He began to recognize certain setups before they completed. Most people saw random numbers. Jesse saw rhythm. He saw cause and effect. He saw opportunity. And that was the first critical piece of his $1 million story, the skill of observation before action. He didn't start with wild guesses. He started by studying, by absorbing, by letting the market teach him before he tried to teach the market. When Jesse first began trading for himself, he wasn't in the grand halls of Wall Street. He was in bucket shops, small, local betting houses where traders could speculate on stock price movements without owning the stocks. In those rooms, the stakes were small, but the lessons were huge. Jesse learned that he had a knack for making quick, precise trades. His profits grew, and so did his reputation. So much so, in fact, that bucket shops started banning him. They didn't want him trading there anymore because he was winning too much. But here's the thing, Jesse didn't just get lucky. He followed rules he'd developed through experience, rules that would later become the foundation of his fortune. One of his golden rules? Only trade when the conditions are right. If the setup wasn't there, he didn't touch it. Patience was his silent weapon. And in trading, patience is what separates the amateur who needs action from the professional who waits for certainty. Fast forward to the early 1902nd. Jesse had built enough capital to step into the real market. And in 1901, during a roaring bull market, he made his first significant fortune. But this is where the psychological side of the story kicks in. When you're winning, it's easy to believe you've figured it all out. It's easy to mistake a favorable market for permanent genius. Jesse fell into that trap. He took bigger risks. He ignored some of his own rules. And soon, the market humbled him. He lost much of what he had made. That sting, that embarrassment, it would follow him for years. And it became one of the deepest lessons he ever learned. The market rewards discipline and punishes arrogance. Now we get to the part of his life that made history. It was 1907, a year of panic. The stock market was in free fall. Banks were collapsing. Fear was everywhere. Most traders were desperate to get out. Jesse, he saw the opportunity of a lifetime. He began short-selling, betting that prices would fall. While others were hoping for a recovery, Jesse doubled down on the decline. And he was right. The market plunged further and further. By the end of the panic, he had made an astonishing $1 million. Think about that for a second. Not in a year, Not in a month. In a single day of trading. That day cemented his place in Wall Street legend. But what's more important is this. He didn't make that money by chasing hype. He made it because he had the courage to go against the crowd and the discipline to stick to his conviction when fear was everywhere. But Jesse's story doesn't end there, and neither do the lessons. After his massive win, the temptations returned. Wealth can be a dangerous thing for a trader's psychology. It can make you overconfident. It can make you believe the rules don't apply anymore. And Jesse was human. He made mistakes. He suffered devastating losses. At one point, he went bankrupt more than once. Yet, each time, he came back. And that resilience, that refusal to let defeat be permanent, may be the greatest lesson of all. Because in trading, you will fall. You will make bad calls. The question is not, will I lose? The question is, will I get back up? There's something incredibly powerful about how Jesse described his mindset. The game taught me the game, and it didn't spare me the rod while teaching. He understood that every loss carried a lesson. Every setback was tuition in the school of markets. And that brings us to perhaps the most timeless part of his philosophy. Trading is not about predicting every move. It's about aligning yourself with the big moves when they come, and protecting yourself when they don't. That's how he made his million. And that's how he kept coming back from ruin. Now, let's pull this into the present. What does Jesse's journey mean for you, the modern trader? First, patience. If you don't see the right setup, you don't trade. The market will be here tomorrow. There's no need to manufacture opportunity where there is none. Second, discipline. Your rules exist to protect you. Break them, and the market will punish you, eventually. Third, resilience. Losses are part of the game. Don't take them as a verdict on your worth. Take them as a step toward mastery. When I think about Jesse's $1 million day, I don't see it as luck. I see it as the result of years of preparation meeting the perfect moment. And here's the truth. If that moment had come earlier in his life, he wouldn't have been ready for it. If it had come later, without discipline, he would have lost it all instantly. Success in trading isn't about one big win. It's about becoming the kind of person who can handle the big win without losing themselves. And that's why Jesse's story still matters over a century later. Because the market hasn't changed as much as we think. Prices move faster. Technology is better. But the human emotions fear, greed, hope, regret are exactly the same. And mastering those emotions is still the real key. So, if you take one thing from Jesse Livermore's $1 million day, let it be this. Your greatest edge in the market is not your strategy. It's not your indicators. It's your mind. Protect it. Train it. Guard it against arrogance when you win and against despair when you lose. Because one day, your moment might come, that perfect trade, that perfect market, that life-changing opportunity. And when it does, I hope you're ready. Not just to take it, but to keep it. Just like Jesse did on that legendary day in 1907.